Hello everyone, this is Aegon of Astora, and welcome back to my first ever playthrough of Demon's Souls. This is episode number 6, being recorded on Tuesday the 12th of December. I hope you're all having a fantastic day whenever it is you find yourself watching this. So before we get started, I just wanted to talk briefly about Gran Turismo Sport in relation to this game, but in particular in relation to the theme of this playthrough, and that is exploring the nature of the differences between games as services on the one hand and static games on the other, and games like Demon's Souls existing as it does in a liminal space between those two things. So in light of how sort of disappointed and discouraged I felt a couple days ago after running into issues with the frame rate and the sound, I had a hard time yesterday deciding what to do. I had a bunch of stuff to do during the day, and I figured that I would be able to do some recording for this series in the evening, so around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So I decided that in anticipation of this type of conversation that I would play a couple of races of Gran Turismo Sport in order to capture some more footage so that I could talk about it. And just to be clear, I'm not very good at this game. I'm not especially adept at racing games in general, but I've always enjoyed them. And this is going back to my earliest days playing games. The earliest games I played, I probably played on a IBM 5150 with a green monochrome monitor. And one of the first games I remember playing, inappropriately enough, is Leisure Suit Larry and the Land of the Lounge Lizards. But in terms of console gaming, we got a Sega Master System sometime in the late 80s. I was born in 1986, so I would have been 3 or 4 when we got it. And one of the games that was built into the Sega Master System was Hang On, which is a motorcycle racing game where you're always racing straight ahead, but they did a very clever thing, and I think games like Rad Racer on the NES did this as well, where the road bends to the left and the right, but really you're just always racing straight ahead. And I always remember thinking when playing that game, and I would show you footage of the game right now, but unfortunately because it's a game that, at least I've only ever owned it as a built-in game on the Master System itself, so I could show you if I had some way to capture footage with my Master System, but I don't. But I always remember thinking when I was younger, or imagining when I was younger, that the AI were somehow proxies for other players. So that is to say, I was imagining not only that the AI were actually being controlled by other people, somehow connected through the electricity lines or something like that, but also that the bike that I was driving, other people were seeing it in their game as well. And so that was an idea that intrigued me greatly at the time, because, you know, I obviously didn't understand how any of that was supposed to work, and networking was obviously not really a thing back then in the late 80s. Like, it was, but not for mass consumer electronics or anything like that. And I remember imagining the same thing several years later when we got Mario Kart and a Super Nintendo for Christmas, thinking that the other racers on the course were other people. And so it's funny that those are both static games as we've defined them in this playthrough, in that they don't ever change, but I imagined in my head what essentially would become the modern racing game, and that is with some bare bones single player features, but the vast majority of the game being designed around racing other people. And so though I'm speaking about Gran Turismo Sport specifically here, because I've been playing it lately, this could be made to apply to any of the Forza games presumably, or pretty much any modern racing game. And so alongside all of that, back in the mid-2000s, I was really big into cars because it was my teenage years, and I imagined that one day I would have enough money to buy a car, which I've not yet been able to do at age 31 now. But, you know, I wasn't a huge car guy, but I liked cars and I liked racing. And then I started watching Initial D, which was originally a manga and was turned into an anime about street racing in general and about this drifting tofu delivery guy in particular named Takumi Fujiwara. And I would explain the plot, but this is already a digression as is. So it's a show about racing, and it has really, really corny Eurobeat music that I love a lot, just because of how corny and awful it is. And I listened to that while racing in Gran Turismo. So yesterday I decided, okay, I'll play a couple games of Gran Turismo to capture some more footage so that I can talk about it when I start recording for Demon's Souls. And the first race I had was a race that I hadn't done particularly well in the past, but I just got a new car with great stability and cornering ability and things like that, and I managed a pretty good lap time, which I think started me in 10th position or something like that. And up to this point, I had been happy to simply not finish in last. And the number of races I've had where the person in last has quit and thus made me in last, there are too many of them to count, and it always made me upset because it's like, yes, I'm not in last, and then the person in last rage quits and suddenly I'm in last. So here I am in this race starting in 10th position, and I end up within about a minute of this race behind this person named Faita. I'll just call them Air T for the sake of simplicity and not butchering their name. So I wind up behind Air T, who's in 9th position, about a minute into the race. And then I spent the next 18 or 19 minutes or so battling with this exact same person. And it was exhilarating. And again, maybe it's just because I watched too many episodes of Initial D, and I love the idea of a clean and fair battle, of a clean and fair car battle. I guess not dissimilar to how I view PvP in the Souls games. And there were a number of occasions where I could have overtaken this person, but I didn't because it wouldn't have been clean. Where I could have cut into their line and taken their position, but I didn't want to do that because we were having a nice and fair battle, and I don't know that this person even knew I was behind them pretty much the whole race. I suspect they did because I'm usually aware of those things, and because we were both so close to being in sync, it was more or less just the two of us and then a huge gap ahead of us and behind us for almost the entire race. And there were so many points where I could have passed this person, but I was so afraid that I would knock them off the course that I decided not to, just fell back and decided to try again at another spot. And it was exhilarating. I had so much fun. And it got me thinking also about, again, the nature of games and the nature of games as services. And the fact that this is a game which matches players not only based on their level of skill as drivers, but also on the basis of something called sportsmanship rating, or SR. And though it's an open question as to whether or not this system actually works or whether it works well, and there are flaws in how it has been implemented, but the basic idea behind it is that, and I don't know how this is weighted, I don't know if it's 50% sportsmanship rating and 50% driver rating, then they average it out and match you up with people, or if it has more to do with connection speed, things like that. But the idea is that if you are a clean racer, you will be placed into lobbies with other clean racers. And I try my very, very best to be a clean racer. So even though I'm a D ranked driver, so D being only up from E, which is where everyone starts, I have an S ranking, so similar to the Souls games, it goes C, B, A, and then S. I have an S ranking in sportsmanship rating, but I'm a D ranked driver. And so I get into this lobby full of clean racers, and I'm able to just completely immerse myself in this race, in this battle, me and Air T just going at it for almost 20 minutes. And I'm thinking about this the whole time, about the fact that this is an experience that 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 years down the line I won't be able to recreate, because even though this game has a single player mode, the core of the game is racing against other people. And at the same time, that is also to say that if you wind up in a lobby full of dirty racers, then your experience is liable to be pretty awful. And I was kind of surprised when I looked at the ratings for this game and saw that it only got 70s, something like that. And really, rating games on a numerical scale is folly to begin with, but it's especially folly when it comes to a game like this, which I suspect a number of the reviews, if not all of them, were made with pre-release copies of the game. But the major problem there, of course, is that you can't really review a game that is primarily meant to be played online with other people before the game is released. It really doesn't work. So my experience with the game up to this point has been mostly positive, but it's a snapshot. It's a moment in time. Who's to say that a year from now that people will still be playing this game? Maybe another better racing game will come out for the PS4 and everyone will migrate to that. So there's an impermanence about games as services, which is at once tragic and horrible and problematic, but at the same time it is magical and wonderful and is capable of creating experiences that, you know, someone like me who, you know, I'm too poor to drive. I certainly would never race someone in the way that you're racing in this game. But I love the feeling of actually going up and down through the gears and, you know, taking the turns at a different speed and trying to best your lap time. I think it's amazing. But without the input of other people, it's not the same. It's not nearly the same. So this is a game which, even though it does have a single player mode, relies almost entirely on the presence of and the behavior of other players. So yeah, I think that's more or less all I had to say about that. I figured it deserved a little bit more of an explanation than I was able to give it in that first episode, just because I was trying to cover so much ground. I didn't want everyone to think like, what the heck, why is this turning into Gran Turismo Sport, Let's Talk Lore, or something like that. So how does all this relate to Demon's Souls? Well, as we briefly discussed in the previous episode, this is a game which is not only a static game, but it's also a static game that has games as service elements. And in the context of this playthrough so far, we've been receiving some truly awful and dreadful service based on the suggestions that I read online that there's something wrong with the servers and that Atlas simply hasn't fixed the problem yet. And so, in a sense, Demon's Souls, just like Gran Turismo Sport, relies almost entirely on other players to create a singular experience, a magical, wonderful experience that you will never get again. But the core of the game is still strong enough to stand up on its own, to be fun and to be worth playing. Whereas the core of the game in Gran Turismo Sport, not so much. Beyond what I mentioned in an earlier episode, which is if you ever lose your internet connection, even though the game does have an offline mode, it tries to reconnect to the server. Every single time you hit a button, it tries to reconnect to the server. And there's constantly pop-ups that you're having to dismiss saying, okay, I get it, I'm not connected, I get it, I understand, just leave me alone, let me play the game. But no, you can't. You really can't. It's heartening for me knowing that this game will still be in a playable state after the servers go offline. But it is a little bit disappointing that, you know, I've not really had any multiplayer interaction yet. And I don't know if that's because the servers are screwed up or if it's because the player count just isn't there. But here's to hoping that we will get that before the end of the series. But with all that said, I've rambled long enough, so let's see what Ostrava is up to on this really precarious plank here. Hovering somewhere around where the blob that is his father is resting. He's got a little bag of trinkets there, it looks like.
At its peak, Boletaria was a grand kingdom. The king, his knights, and his subjects were modest and plain, but also steadfast and compassionate. In the distant southern kingdom, Boletaria was known as paradise on earth. But look at what has become of us now. I refuse to believe that this is what Father wished for our great land.
Sorry to break it to you, friend. I'm pretty sure this is precisely what he wished for your great land. Sorry that he didn't consult you about that, but yeah, that's what he wanted.
Here in Boletaria, we speak of the legend of the two swords and the last hero. The two swords are Demonbrand and Soulbrand. One sword banishes that which befouls man, and the other banishes man himself. The last hero is old King Doran. King Doran is the Everlasting One, founder of Boletaria and protector of the two swords. Of course, only according to legend. But in the dark state of our land, legends are all we can depend upon. But in the dark state of...
I suppose that's true. I'd still like to know what this golden aura is around him. Looks like he's constantly munching on bright bugs. Interesting. When I zoned into the Nexus earlier, she was sitting on one of the steps swinging her legs, just like Shanalot does in Dark Souls 2. So again, something that was not without precedent, but I'm only just realizing that now.
Thou seekest soul power, dost thou not? Then touch the demon inside me. Soul of the mind, key to life's ether, I keep the candles lit. I shall await thine return, slayer of demons. I am here for thee, and thee only.
Except for all the other players and the candles. Okay. So she's not especially talkative. I'm realizing now that there's also a mist around us. And that, in retrospect, it's actually rather obvious what that mist in the top right is. I was confused about that in the previous episode. It must be the Thief's Ring. Yep. Now the mist is gone too. That's pretty cool. But not something I noticed earlier. Okay, let's go back to Stonefang Tunnel. I have no idea how I'm going to name these episodes. Oh, this is a developer message. I was wondering why that was here every single time. So it's telling you that essentially all the enemies are susceptible to pierce attacks. I wonder if these things we're seeing off in the distance, should re-equip these, are supposed to be landmarks that we see elsewhere. I realized also, while I was trying to get a screenshot of Ostrava at the Nexus, that we can zoom with this, which partially ameliorates the fact that your player character is looking around like a dumbass, even though they're not actually looking at anything. But yeah, I wonder whether these are areas that we're going to be visiting later, but for some reason I doubt it. Okay, this is where we had the friends with the sacks. We're just gonna walk by this time and hope for the best. Oh, crud. Forgot about you guys. See if we can get them to perish by jumping in. No. That delay on your attack, friend. That's very... makes you difficult to deal with. More delays. That fire damage, too. Partial parry there. I think I'm just gonna stop trying to parry these guys. This is surprisingly difficult to parry. Still don't know how we're expected to get across there. So I'm gonna leave that for later, and then we're gonna go through this fog gate. So yeah, just to be clear, insofar as we are playing offline, that is not a decision that I made consciously. It seemed to log me in when I loaded the game up. But again, I'm not seeing player ghosts, and I'm not seeing messages or anything anywhere. So maybe the servers are just way the heck overloaded from all the people wanting to experience Demon's Souls Online for the first time or for the last time. Sorry, friend. You give a pitiful amount of souls, thus reaffirming my decision not to kill the passive ones. Large Heartstone shard. The corpse models in this game, maybe it's just because I haven't seen many of them yet, but they strike me as being more unique and a higher polygon count models than those that were used in all the later games. No, another crystal lizard gone. Oh no. Yes, no. Classic FromSoft. Oh my gosh, there's like 15 of them there. Spider stone. So I learned that the smelt stone, or whatever it was called, is fudge. That's for removing weapon infusions. So there's a whole pile of bodies here. Great Club. Unknown Soldier's Soul. So I know where we find Bam Bam's weapon. Are we just supposed to jump down here? So many broken platforms in this game. Oh, that didn't work. I like that the R2 accounts for the fact that the weapons are on, that the enemies are lower, because it actually does a downward stabbing attack as opposed to just hitting straight forward. It's accounted for in the animation in a way that I don't think it is in the later games. But yeah, it feels good to, this is the first time I've been able, since starting this playthrough, to record 3 episodes in one day. So yeah, it feels rather good, knowing that we've made some progress. And that I at least have some presence of mind with respect to the reasons why we were having so many issues previously. Because I really was at a loss. I wasn't sure what to do, whether or not we should continue the series, because the editing for these episodes has to be relatively painless. And it hasn't been that thus far, but my hope is now with the knowledge that these issues are server-side issues, that at the very least I won't be freaking out every time it happens and then thinking that I should just stop recording and let the PS3 rest for the rest of the day. So that was a big thing. I think I dodged that right in time. Gosh, I'm never going to be able to parry these. I got it, but it was a partial parry there. Was not expecting that. Not expecting that little spinny move. It's fancy, friend. Got some good footwork. Hi. You're next, right? Nope. You're just the guy who pushes the cart? Oh, or destroys it. Good work. You're doing a great job. Okay, parried him there, but missed the repose somehow. We're gonna need more grass soon. Oh, he hurt his friends. That wasn't good, friend. That's not what you were supposed to do. I'll take it, certainly, but I feel kind of bad now. No. I guess I need to remember that there's a reason why this weapon is called the short sword. I shouldn't be too upset that that's reflected in the mechanics of the weapon. We're definitely going to be needing more grass soon, though. Sorry, friend. Can't have you throwing rocks at me no more. It's not nice. Steel shield. A large-sized steel shield. It is simply made, but as a result it has high defensive strength. Cool. So we're supposed to access that item from above, it looks like. No! This gosh darn controller. Whoa. Did you just do like a Stretch Armstrong move there or something? Oh, it's your tongue. Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead. Get behind the wall. Stupid lizards. Again, not unlike the enemies from Dark Souls 2. They attack you with their tongues as well. I don't know that they're quite... Actually, I think they're more annoying in Dark Souls 2. Speaking of annoying... The stupid dog! Always fighting the dogs in such cramped corridors too. Like, what are you supposed to do in that situation? Where do you guys keep coming from? Okay, I lied earlier when I said I liked the R2, how it goes down, because I'm so bad at this game, I really am. And yeah, we're almost completely out of grass, so we need to find a shortcut ASAP. More dogs? Are you kidding me? Stupid dog. The AI pathing in this game is top-notch, really. Oh my gosh, that's a corpse. Ed's Grindstone. Beautiful. So we didn't have to buy... Oh, I guess, yeah. I was thinking that it was a repair box, but they're actually, I think, just repair powders. No, we didn't read these. Okay, hold on. Let's get caught up here. Ed's Grindstone, a sharpening stone used by Ed, the blacksmith of Stonefang. Reduces the wear on the right-hand weapon and restores its durability. Blue Eye Stone, proof you have been accepted by the Monumental as a demon slayer. When you die and enter soul form, use this to send a soul sign. This item can only be used in soul form. A soul sign is sent to other worlds, and you are summoned from those other worlds as a phantom. If you succeed in helping the summoner defeat a demon, you will regain your body. So we should drop our Blue Eye Stone, our soul sign, as it were, at some point. White Eye Stone, the white shadow of all eye stones, controls the summoning of phantoms. Use this to send summoned phantoms back to their original world. You can also return to your own world from a world you were summoned into as a phantom, though you will not be resurrected. The resurrection part of all these item descriptions is unnecessarily confusing, I think. But I think that's just because it's the first game in the series. It's like, wait, what? Resurrection? Like, what does that mean? So I wonder if the Monumental will still give you those items once the servers are shut off. In which case, what the heck is the point, right? Half Moon Grass. We are descending deeper and deeper into this mine. We got yellow eye friends here who are not friendly. Even though they are friends, they're not friendly. Pickaxe. Yeah, we bought a bunch of arrows as well. If that wasn't already immediately obvious. Unknown Hero's Soul. Oh, a whole bunch of upgrade materials. As always, very clever level design, because I didn't know how we were going to get across that lava, but there was only one other path. We took the path and we found out how to do so. I think we're supposed to drop down there, but let's just make sure we're not missing anything. Nope, just a pickaxe sticking oddly out of the ground, but nothing else, it looks like. Is this where we just came from? Yes. I would not be opposed to simply returning to the Nexus at this point. I wonder if we're just supposed to run across if we can actually get that far. Alright. Look at him doing a dance. Should we go for it? I think we should go for it. Oh. And it's just a renowned hero's soul. Oh, classic FromSoft. Shard of Clearstone. Okay. Oh no. Oh. Totally meant to do that. I totally meant to do that. Actually, let's go get some healing grass from the merchant. From Dirty Harry or whatever his name is. I'd be interested in hearing opinions on managing hotbar spots with all these different kinds of grass. Like, I suppose in Dark Souls 2, you don't need to always have every type of life gem you own equipped. But in Dark Souls 2, there's also an Estus flask, and you have double the number of hotbar slots. So it's ameliorated a little bit, but here not so much, I don't think. Okay, so there's an item in there, but can we even get out after we drop in there? I don't know how. Oh, unless that's a gate there that is open. It's so hard to see, it's so dark. So let's start by just going over here. Large Sharpstone Shard. Half Moon Grass. Unless it just opens up right here. Indeed. Ring of Poison Resistance. So this isn't the Valley of Defilement, but a soft ring with a deep green seal increases defense against poison. Made by Gary, a friend of Sage Frake. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. G-E-R-I. Jerry? Gary. Jerry. A friend of Sage Frake. The visionary who is known for his magical handicrafts. The seal's design is a skull. So what is going on over here? We have a whole ton of explosive barrels and a fat minister who uses fire attacks. So again, well played FromSoft. Were I not paying attention, you would have had me hook, line, and sinker there. Except I don't have any fire bombs, it looks like. So really my only option is either Turpentine, which would blow me up as well, or to try and just get him to blow himself up. Let's see. I guess he's fire resistant, which would make sense. You're really spamming that, aren't you? I guess I'm not being the most honorable opponent, but still. Didn't mean to do those other attacks there. Again, the R1 button sticks like crazy on this controller. Get wrecked. Full moon grass, thank you. It's as if you knew I just used one. I generally try not to talk when rolling into barrels because they're so loud that if I am talking during it, then you need to lower the volume levels for it, so. Same when I'm just fighting enemies. This looks like it's just another part of the area, but it could also be that spider boss. I can't remember what the boss is called, but it's a spider that shoots fire, if I recall correctly. Stone of Ephemeral Eyes. We'll just call them Ephemeral Eye Stones, probably a much easier way of putting it. Okay, so we're seeing more spider-like things. So I think I'm right about the boss of the area. My recollection is at least partially accurate. Poor friend didn't know what to do. He jumped down and he's like, okay, what was the second part of the plan? We scare him, throw the boulder, jump down. Wait, what? What do I do now? And yeah, the same goes for whenever I'm attacking enemies. Often when you hear me pause, it's because I know that the game audio is loud and that I will have to make adjustments in order so that you can hear both you can hear my voice primarily and then the game audio separately as well. Another shortcut. Or an elevator? Oh, crud. Okay, we probably should have checked what was up those stairs first. Because we're going really... Yep, that's the boss room, almost certainly. Okay, so let's go back up and see if those stairs lead to a shortcut. Because I'm almost certain this is that spider boss. The crag spider? No, I can't remember its name. Blade. A small ceremonial sword, old runes are expertly chiseled into the blade. Used as an aid for incantations, the wielder's magic ability increases, though he or she will suffer more magical damage. So is there really no shortcut here? I guess not. Alright. I guess that is indeed it. Unless... Ah. So yeah, so we don't want to go in there just yet. Let's see what's going on over here. Friends? Oh, nothing. Chunk of spider stone. I feel like there's a gimmick to this boss fight, and I don't remember what it is, so we're probably gonna die, but let's see what happens anyway. Let's equip some sticky white stuff for a little bit of magic damage. Oh yeah, I can see the spider. Okay, yeah, this is exactly the boss fight that I thought it was. Armor spider, that's what it was. So we need to get the cover. Ouch. Oh my god. Oh, that's bad. This is bad, friends. Ouch. Alright, well that's as good a place to go out as any other. So thank you all very, very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.